So what's going on, guys? This is DIY Dan, and this is another episode of Backroads, Arizona. In this video, I'm going to be adding a sewer drain line to the passenger side of my Toyhauler. We're going to go over why I did it and how I did it. So let's get to it. Since we do a lot of dry camping, either up in the woods or at the dunes, we don't always have a place to drain our sewer. So I tend to drain my sewer at my house. So in most cases, in your front yard, you should have some sewer cleanouts. One on your house side, one on your street side. I always drain into my street side cleanout. Make sure you can put your trailer higher than your cleanouts. Gravity does have to work. If you try and drain uphill, you will not like the result. So what I would have to do before this modification is I would pull in forward to my side yard, hook up my sewer lines, run them across the driveway, drain my tanks. Then I would have to back out, go and flip the trailer around, and then back into my side yard. So by running my drain out to the passenger side, I basically cut my unloading time in half. So what I've got here is my gray valve, my black valve, and then my drain pipe running out on the driver's side here, which obviously if you're using hookups, has to remain on the driver's side. I might actually shorten that up a little bit too. And then I've got my new pipe that I'm running to the passenger side, sitting on a couple jack stands for now, just so I could see how it was going to line up. So I loosened the screws off of this bracket because this bracket is exactly where I need to run my T over to the other side. So I've got that lined up with my pipe going that way. So I'm going to mark this where I need to cut it to mate that up. Using a hacksaw, I went ahead and cut through the 3-inch ABS. So after checking all my angles and making sure everything would work and I could get to the handles for the shutoffs, I disassembled everything. I purchased this combination pack, which includes the cleaner and the glue. Put each piece together. Make sure you check your shutoffs that you can open and close them without anything being in the way. And then went ahead and put my drain valve back on. So here I'm just marking my pipe out the passenger side before I glued it on the other side so I could cut it on my miter saw versus cutting it with the hacksaw. So I'm using the cleaner to clean both sides of the ABS on the cap side and on the pipe side. Pay attention to how far the lip is on your piece that you were gluing on, because that will determine how far back you need to clean the pipe. Then I went ahead and put the glue on both sides of the pipe and the cap as well. And you want to hold it there for a little bit. ABS is not as critical. It doesn't seem like ABS wants to pull off as bad as PVC. The PVC, you'll actually see it walk off of the pipe if you don't hold it. Since I do dumb stuff sometimes, and I always tell you the dumb stuff I do, I forgot to put this clamp over the pipe before I glued the fittings on. So I'm dealing with this right now. We're going to straighten this out so I can take this washer off so I can reuse the clamp. The only good thing about me forgetting to put that clamp over was the fact that I realized I can make these very easily, and I ended up using them underneath my trailer to support the new pipe I ran. So I went ahead and put that one back up into place and tech screwed it where I wanted it to hold the pipe on the driver's side. So I've got some of the same material it looks like they used on those clamps. Had this left over from a project I didn't end up doing. So I was able to bend the steel around the ABS pipe by hand without a problem. And I went off to the side of the steel so I could bend it all the way around the tube. Then using a pair of channel locks, I bent it back to line it up with the rest of the clamp. Usually I use a grinder to cut the steel, but I figured I'd try it with a pair of bolt cutters and just pinch it and then snap it off, and it actually worked quite well. Then I went ahead and pre-drilled the holes to make it easier on install. I used a 5/8 washer to put over the bracket. So I was able to bend the steel by hand to get it to the cross member where I needed it, and then use self-tappers to install the bracket to one of the main cross members under the trailer. Make sure you pull up on the bracket a little bit to make sure you have some tension on the pipe itself. So I wanted to make sure the pipe going out to the passenger side had about a 1-inch fall. So I'm right here, I'm measuring from the main frame of the trailer down to the top of the pipe. I did that on both sides and mounted it accordingly. So I intentionally made this bracket a little long so I could just cut it to the length I needed once I had it up in place. So just using the bolt cutters, I went ahead and did that. So right here I'm putting the washer on using a pair of channel locks. If you squeeze the steel, the washer will automatically walk down where it needs to be. Then I bent the tab over so the washer would not fall off. Then anchored the bracket in with 2 Tek screws into one of the cross members. Always check behind the bracket you are screwing into or drilling to make sure there is nothing in your way. So I put 2 additional brackets under the center of the trailer to help support that tube. However, there was no vertical cross member that I could use, so I had to use the bottom of a C-channel. And I don't like using Tek screws in a vertical position like that. I think they walk out pretty easily. So I wanted to use a bolt. So I drilled a hole in the bottom of the C-channel. Normally I would not recommend that, but they had already drilled a hole to support the holding tanks, so I know it wasn't that structural. You want to keep your hole closer to the edge that has the steel on it and away from the side that is open. That way it is less likely to produce a crack. So I just used a 1/4-inch bolt to secure this, and I used a nylon nut so it would not walk off.
All right. And that's stout.
So if I'm draining my sewer at a campsite or at a dump station,
what I will do when I go to dump is I will leave this one shut and I will open this additional valve, which will allow me to drain out of this. However, if I'm draining it at my house, I'm going to leave this one closed and I will open that one, and everything else is going to completely operate the same way.
So that's how simple it is. I've already used it once and it worked well. I do tend to flush it a couple extra times to make sure that T gets cleaned out good. One other thing I do plan on doing is making about a 15-foot extension pipe out of ABS. So when I do drain, I only have to use one short little hose from the drain on my passenger side to the extension, and then a short little hose from the end of the extension to my sewer cleanout. And that way it'll just be a lot easier on cleanup because I will not have to clean out 3 accordion style hoses. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and you got some good information off of it. If so, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hope to see you next time. Have a good one. Later.